Well, hey everybody, it's the 21st day of July 2025. I'm Jan Erickson, and this is As Above, So Below. I hope you had a good weekend. The fire in the north of Madras seems to be resolving, and so we've not had the smoke this last weekend that we've had before, so that was nice. Anyway, let's get started with Rado, the rune of the above side of things, or higher self side of things. Rado is the fifth rune of the Elder Futhark, and I mean it's really a bind rune in and of itself. You can see so many different ones. You can see Isa and Laguz and Vunyo and Kenaz forward and reversed. Forward once and reversed twice. This one's kind of skewed downward here if you look at it that way. Um, so it's pretty complex. It's you can think of it as the journey. You can think of it as rider and horse. You think about it that way. There's that intuitive bond between the rider and the horse, where I mean, just a barely a touch somewhere with the knee tells the horse to turn right or left or whatever. And so it's that integration, that partnership, harmonious movement, and but it can also mean process over the goal. So it's how that happens, not necessarily where the rider and the horse are going, but how they get there that matters. And so there could be something that comes up for you today where that may be the issue, and you have an issue that arises, and it's really about, are you in harmony, especially if it's a collaborative thing going on. Are you all in harmony with one another? Are you on the same page? Are you all comfortable with the process that you're using to get to where you're going? And if you're not, then that may be the place to look and see, well, okay, maybe we're just not communicating well, or we're not really all on the same page or understanding fully what we're doing here together. So you could have people, kind of on their own there trying to do things and sort of circumvents whatever or undermines what you're trying to achieve together. So it could be something like that. But let's take a look at the Geomancy rune. There's air and water. Let's see, what's this one? This one's fire, and that will be earth. So here, well, I mean, we're looking at Rubius, and which is the complement of Albus. Albus would be the sage or the wise person or higher wisdom or clarity. But then Rubius is the other side of the coin. And this would be Rubius. This would be Albus. This is Rubius. And again, if you're having an issue, you could have somebody that's trying to control the situation, have their own personal agenda. But it will get in the way of the harmony and the integration that you're trying to achieve. So there, either you're getting in the way of it yourself, trying to control the situation, or there's somebody else that's doing it. And just know that that's not going to help the situation flow in a positive direction for you. So again, that is kind of going to be the area you're going to want to maybe look at, and just see if maybe, because in any group situation, you're going to have one or more people try to control. They're just going to be more controlling than other people. Some are content to sit back, and others want to assert themselves. And so you could just have somebody just doing that today, or you could be doing it, and it's really getting in the way of what you're trying to achieve. So drop resistance to the flow and see where that gets you. Might achieve your goals a lot easier that way. But for some people, they don't like working with other people. They like working alone. So it could be something that, someone's struggling with that, and that could be you, or it could be somebody else. But let me just shuffle one more time here. Cut the deck, take the lower half, draw 3 cards. Well, we have one from the suit of swords, one from the suit of cups. So intellect and air element with swords and emotions and change and movement and empathy and compassion with cups and the water element. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune from the Major Arcana, reminding us that things will come full circle. But it also it's also the idea of cycles and fortune and prosperity, movement and success. So, but here you have the fixed signs of the zodiac, representations of them here. You have Mercury, sulfur, and salt around the wheel. You see Taro, T for tarot. And the astrological glyphs associated with the fixed elements. Or the fixed signs rather, not fixed elements. But, everything has its part to play. And again, you could look at Rado that way, where if you are trying to integrate with other people, what goes around comes around, basically. But to be successful, you have to be steady in all of that and not allow things to get off track. And if you've got somebody, either you or somebody else, that's asserting themselves and trying to control the situation at the expense of the process you're using, unless the process simply isn't working, right? But if it is, then then you have to decide whether it's you or somebody else. Okay, let's get on the same page here. Let's stay on track so that the circle continues to turn and we can be successful here. We want to stay the course. We want to stay with the harmony, the integration, the collaboration of whatever it is you're doing. But before we go any further, I should do the numerology. I see a major card. It's like, oh, let's talk about that. But Rado, I said, was the 5th rune of the Elder Futhark. And then we have a 10 for the Wheel of Fortune. Plus we have a 4 for the 4 of Cups. And 5, again, for the 5 of Swords. So we have 24, 2 and 4 is 6. So we have 6. 6 is about... It's about shared path in one sense. It's also about empathy and guidance, compassion. But I like the idea of being on the same page, being on the shared path. You see that with the 6 of Wands, for example. It looks like they're all going in the same direction, and so it's a joint effort. It's a shared path, essentially. So that's one meaning of 6, the numerology of 6. And I think that it would dovetail very well with Rado. And the challenge, of course, is to not let somebody else, either you or somebody else's need for control over the situation, to usurp that and to get in the way of it. You'll likely get there a lot quicker if you've got a bunch of hands in on the project. It's just you've got to be able to work together and not have people decide, well, I'm going to do something, differently here. So I talked about the Wheel of Fortune and how that applies. That's kind of the end result. It's kind of the moving of the wheel, the grinding of the gears, in a sense, where things are moving together in synchronicity. And, that might be upsetting to somebody, maybe to you or someone else in the group. I remember the first time when I first began working with tarot, and I was looking at the 4 of Cups, and I'm thinking, oh, pity party. He can't recognize anything that's being offered. So the blessing of, for the unseen hand, you're offering from the cloud, they're offering a chalice. He's got his cups here that are all standing upright as well. But he doesn't even seem to be focused on him. He's sitting in a very defensive posture. The oak tree's behind him, but he's not leaning against it, so he's not gathering any oak strength there. It's like his whole body, including the tunic, looks like it's a cross too. So he's got his arms folded, his legs crossed, and it's almost in a defensive posture. It would be more defensive if he was sitting on a chair or something, or a bench, and had his legs crossed. That would be even more defensive, wouldn't it? But it's almost like he can't see what's being offered. The gift of reciprocity, if you will. That's reciprocity, the 2 of Cups. You've got reciprocity there. An expression of that and of healing. And he can't, but so there could be somebody, an outlier in the group, either you or someone else, that's being reluctant to get along and to go with the flow, essentially. The water element is about flow. And instead of, gathering the strength that he needs to do that and to accept what's being offered, and the collaborativeness of the situation that's being offered to either you or someone else in the group, it's like, no, I'm just going to sit here, and I'm going to pout. And so and truly, it just seems like it's a pity party that's going on. It's like, I don't care what's being offered. I don't care how nice everybody is. I want to control everything. And if I don't, I'm just going to sit here with my arms crossed, and I'm just not going to look at anybody. I'm going to ignore everybody. Well, that's not going to get you where you need to go, not in terms of the group process, right? And then another issue you might want to look for here is again, someone who's asserting himself in a way that or herself in a way that is not appropriate. Here you see three people, three guys. You see some sketchy brown or grayish brown clouds up in the sky. So clearly there's been a battle. There's been a battle of words. There's been an argument maybe. And this guy seems extraordinarily happy and pleased with himself that, now he's picking up all of the ideas, if you will, and there's still a couple of swords on the ground there. You see one guy. Well, let's talk about him first. This one here is over by the water, and you can see it's not smooth yet, so the emotions are still there. And you see the dual line here, which talks about here's where the argument happened on this side, and here's where this is the end result on the other side. And so this is the effect, and this is the cause, essentially. And he's holding his head. He's quite bereft. 5 indicates change and protection and innovation and variety, freedom versus restriction. But here you have this guy. He's taking a step toward this guy because he's worried about him, because he knows he's upset at the loss of whatever, the loss of control here over the narrative, or if this is the collaborative experience, then clearly somebody is just trying to plow their way through and take advantage and take command of everything. And that's what this guy's doing. He's very pleased with himself. Problem is, if that's happening in your life today and you're in a collaborative experience, you can see the impact. You may be one of these. You may be representing one of these two people here, or you may be this guy. And that's what I mean. It depending on who you are, again, in the picture here, obviously this is the one that's not happy with the whole idea that, hey, I have to actually collaborate with other people to get things done. The 4 is about structure and practicality and pragmatism and grounding. And so there's not a lot of grounding right here. And so this could represent the individual who's wanting to control, and it's just not happening. And here would be what it would look like, if the person trying to control actually won the situation, and got to control whatever's going on here today. It's supposed to be happening collaboratively. Either way, nothing is getting done, because you've got the other two people here he's worried about him. He's caught up in his own grief and then upset over the situation, while this guy just, is going to do what he wants to do. And again, if this is a collaborative thing going on today and there seems to be a struggle, it seems to be with somebody wanting to control something that they're not really supposed to be doing, right? It's really about the group and not about the individual. And if that's you, then you have to let go of that and drop resistance to the whole collaborative force there. And try to draw some strength from that, instead of thinking that you're the only one who can provide that strength and that authority and that leadership. Sometimes the best leader is the one that gets out of the way and just participates, or stands back and watches and observes the situation and watches how everybody else, are participating and working together. Either way, this doesn't look like a very good situation here, this change, and nothing's going to get done with this guy. So, you can see both sides of the equation here, and understand that again, with the Wheel of Fortune, success can happen here today or over the next few days. if this is a project that's happening or something. But you have to stay the course. You have to be the reliable partner in this. So whether Rubius is representing yourself, or and if you're this guy and you're upset because you don't get to have things the way you want them, and here you're a little too successful at having things the way you want them, there's going to be an effect to those causes, all right? And it's going to impact the ability, it's going to impact trust within the group for sure, but it's going to impact that integrative experience that needs to happen here. And because Rado's setting the tone, I think, for the reading, and in terms of the harmony and the integration and the process that's used that embraces those two things. So again, there could be some force that comes in today, somebody who tries to assert, whether you or somebody else, that really throws a wrench into everything, and the whole collaborative experience is going to be impacted by that. And you want to make sure that that's not going on, and control. If you're the one doing it, or you're observing the one doing it, control. Everybody needs to control their emotions, depending on which it is. And don't get so stuck that, if I can't have it my way, then I'm not going to have anything, right? I'm not going to participate. I'm just going to sit there, right? Or I'm going to try and take control. Either way, it's not workable, and it doesn't live in service to what you're trying to achieve here today. So anyhow, I think I don't think we need another card. I think that it's kind of an interesting reading in that it's giving you both sides of what can happen if people don't simply work together in harmony with one another, and the damage that can happen to what needs to the potential success that could come your way if you all just got along and helped one another and worked together in harmony and peace instead of trying to take over or try to control the situation by doing nothing. It's like, well, I'm not going to help, whatever. So anyway, I think that's it. I don't think we need any more. And an interesting way to start a Monday, especially if you've got something going on all week where you're relying on everybody working together. So just be aware of what can happen if somebody decides to act differently and not respect that process. So anyway, thanks for watching. Click subscribe if you haven't. I'd love you to do that. And check out the blog over at Stepping Aside. Everything went up in the midnight hour Sunday morning, the forecast for the week, and the correspondences for work and magic, if you're so inclined. Just gives you some astrological stuff, and then the general correspondences are there as well. Things like what stones and what herbs to use, or but there's astrological stuff in the beginning of it, and to try to dovetail everything together so energies are just right. If you're into that, that can just be a little helpful cheat sheet each week, and it kind of helps keep me on track when I'm looking at stuff. So, except that I work a week ahead, so I never know what day it is or even what week it is. It's like, no, we're not there yet. My husband will say, no, that's next week. We'll do that. This week we're doing this. It's like, and I've been doing that for so long now that I kind of live in both weeks, and it's weird. It's just weird. Anyway. Again, thanks for watching, and come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.